Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk some recruiting news to start things off. One Alabama commit is out there doing some impressive things so far in his senior season and really the entire time he has been in high school. Second topic on today's show, we're going to talk about Elijah Pritchett and what offensive line coach Chris Kapilovic said that Alabama needs to get out of him for the remainder of the season. And then our third segment on today's show, we're going to do a little mini preview, just a look ahead towards that game coming up next weekend against LSU. But before we get into it, I want to ask you guys to share today's video. The University of Alabama, Alabama football, the brand is known worldwide. So spread the word to Alabama fans around the world and share today's video for me right now. First up on today's show, we're going to talk some recruiting news. Four-star wide receiver, Alabama commit in that 2025 class, Lotzeir Brooks has broke the New Jersey State record for receiving touchdowns and touchdown receptions in his high school career. And this kid has just been absolutely lights out in really his entirety of high school, but really this senior season has been absolutely incredible for Lotzeir Brooks. You see the stats right there for him so far this season: 38 receptions for 888 yards, 12 touchdowns. He also had a long of 98 yards. And man, in his entire career in high school, over 4,000 receiving yards, 63 touchdowns. This kid is absolutely legit, and people in those recruiting, on those recruiting sites really need to take another look at this kid because he has been absolutely incredible. That's in the receiving side. He also can do some impressive things, rushing the football as well so far in his career. The numbers are a little bit lower, but he is a wide receiver after all. He is not a running back. So, what he's done in that time has just been absolutely incredible, honestly. Averaging 7.6 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns in his high school career. He has been absolutely impressive, and I cannot wait to see him in an Alabama uniform. And like I said, these recruiting sites really do need to take another look at Lotzeir Brooks, look at his film. He has been absolutely impressive so far this year. They've got him as a 4-star recruit in the composite rankings. 247 Sports only has him as a 3-star currently in their individual rankings. The composite also has him as the 253rd player overall, which I will give them credit. He has gone up since his commitment to Alabama, and it is not that Alabama bias that you hear about a lot out there. He is just a really, really good player. He's only 5'9", 170 pounds, squats about 445 pounds. So a small kid, but very, very strong. He was also clocked last fall at 22 miles per hour. So what he, can do in this offense of Kalen DeBoer, I think it's just going to be very, very exciting for the future of Alabama on the offensive side of the ball. So let me know, guys, in the comment section. I think this kid is super, super exciting. Let me know how excited you are to see Lotzeir Brooks in an Alabama uniform. Scale it for me 1 to 10 at the pinned comment of today's video. That ad's going to come here on YouTube. That's totally fine. You can ignore that ad. Go down there to the pinned comment and scale your excitement level for Lotzeir Brooks. Next up today, we're going to talk about the consistency for Elijah Pritchett here. Offensive line coach Chris Kapilovic says consistency is the biggest thing for Elijah Pritchett going, through the rest of this season. And I think I think it's pretty much spot on how I've been feeling about Elijah Pritchett. You see him out there, you see some flashes, he does some really good things, and then other times, you see him kind of have a mental lapse and, some of that, positive stuff that he had been doing, it kind of turns into some negatives. This is what Coach Kapilovic said about Elijah Pritchett. He said, yeah, consistency is really the big thing. You'll watch him and he'll have some really good reps, good sets, good with his hands. I think I was looking, there's been 4 guys that he's had to block this season that are projected to be first rounders, and he's done some really good things. But then the minute his set isn't quite right, he leans a little bit or doesn't use his hands, you're going to get exposed. That's the thing. When you're out there on an island 40 times a game or whatever it is, consistency is really important. Also, you've got to be able to change things up to not give them the same look every time. It's definitely a challenge. But the thing about it is he has shown that he can do it. And We just need more consistency out of him. And I think that pretty much sums it up perfectly from what we've seen from Elijah Pritchett so far this season. He has allowed 16 quarterback pressures in 5 SEC games this year, which, I mean, look, it's just not really good enough. And, going throughout the season, sure, like Coach Cap said there, he has gone up against some really, really talented players out there. But, you see sometimes he gets out on the balls of his feet, lets that defender get into him instead of extending his hands out and, really being able to control those defenders. That's really what gets him into a lot of trouble out there. And in terms of turning the corner and just, being more consistent, Coach Cap was asked about that as well. He said this, that's hard to say when there wasn't consistency from what we saw or from what we wanted on Saturday. And I think that's, pretty accurate. This entire season, Elijah Pritchett, he won that job back during the second game of the season from Wilkin Formby. And he's had his ups and downs, man. I think really the biggest thing for him is, really improving on that run block grade. And like Coach Cap said, just being more consistent because he has shown, Coach Cap said that he has the ability to be able to do it. And I think, it's just going to take time and it's going to take reps. This is his first year starting. So, we'll see how Elijah Pritchett can get better throughout the season and, just become stronger because that is the key, is just constantly get better every single week. And, development, especially along the offensive line, isn't just linear. You get better one week, and then the next week you might go back a little bit, but then the next week you get a little bit better than you were that first week. So, I'm trying not to harp a lot on Elijah Pritchett, but I do think, he's shown those flashes of being a really good right tackle for you. It's just about that consistency to become, a great right tackle and end up possibly going in the NFL draft one day. We're going to continue with our show, but first we want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Game Time. Game Time has a new feature now called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks is just curation that makes it easier to save more on any kind of, event that you want to go to, whether that's sports, a concert, you got stand-up comedy shows out there. That's what I use a lot, Game Time for a lot of the time. They also have theater as well. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the start of the event. So if you're going to that game down at LSU just to, hang out and tailgate, because it is one of the best tailgate sites in college football, make no doubts about that. And then last minute you want to go to the game, you can do that with Game Time. Game Time has all-in pricing. You toggle this feature on, and it shows you the total up front, so there are no surprise fees at checkout that some of those other ticketing apps can get you with. They also have seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what your seat, that view from your seat looks like before you buy your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out GameTime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. Download Game Time today, because what time is it? It's game time. All right, we're going to get into just a little mini preview of this game coming up against LSU next weekend. Right now, no betting odds are out there for this game, but I would assume it is probably going to be a pretty close spread, especially because Alabama is going to be on the road. It is going to be a night game, 6:30 Central Time kickoff for that game. And look, Alabama on the road has had their struggles. You look back to that Tennessee game, and they had some issues, especially with that crowd noise, and we all know how rowdy those LSU fans can get at night. I think one of the main things in this game is going to be the quarterback play. How are these guys going to play? You've seen some greatness out of both guys, and you've seen some bad stuff out of both guys. I've had this take that, Garrett Nussmeier is not a very good quarterback, and, well, to be quite honest with you guys, you could type L's in the comment section. because he's been pretty dang good so far this year. He has had some hiccups. One of our main draft analysts here at Chat Sports, Tom Downey, used to be the host here at the Alabama Football Report. He is intrigued by Garrett Nussmeier when it comes to his ability possibly in the NFL. And he has what he calls the bozo gene. He does a lot of things that is really, really good, but then, there's 2-3 plays a game where you go out there and you're like, what the hell are you doing, Garrett? So, it's really going to be about how he plays, about how Jalen Milroe plays in this game. Overall, both guys, Garrett Nussmeier's thrown for more yards, but Jalen Milroe also has that ability to run the ball. So I think in this game, these two guys are going to be your biggest, keys to who comes out on top. So let me know in the comments section right now, who do you got? Who is the better quarterback right now? Type J if you think it's Jalen Milroe, or type G in the comment section if you think it's Garrett Nussmeier. We'll go into some of the offensive side of the ball here for LSU. One of their biggest strengths is their offensive line, in particular their tackles. Will Campbell, their left tackle, Emory Jones is their right tackle. Both guys have been pretty dang good so far this year. But Emory Jones, I would say, out of the two, has been the worst tackle. So if Alabama's going to take some advantage along their offensive line, I think it's got to be against Emory Jones there. And one thing that LSU, as good as their offensive line has been, they've had 26 total penalties here in 2024. And if you compare it to Alabama's offensive line, because we all have complained about how many penalties Alabama's offensive line has gotten this year. Alabama's offensive line has only committed 17 penalties. So you got 9 more penalties there for LSU's offensive line. I think that could also be a very big key factor in this game. They are at home, so, there shouldn't be those kinds of issues for LSU, but we will see. Here are the receiving leaders for LSU. You got Kyron Lacey. All of us remember Aaron Anderson. He was a very talented guy coming out of high school, committed to Alabama, was with Alabama for a couple of years, and then ended up transferring back home to Louisiana. And he's been really good for him as well. I think he had a very, very nice run in that game against Texas A&M right up the middle for like 60, 70 yards or something like that. So, he's a really, really fast kid. You've got their tight end, Mason Taylor, and don't even get me started on tight ends against Alabama. They, at times have been some of those key factors, especially on third downs, being able to stop those tight ends. Then you go to the running backs for LSU. They've been okay so far this year. I don't think they've been great. But they also use them in different ways as well. They can receive out of the backfield. So, look, Alabama is 68th right now in rushing defense, allowing 144.5 yards per game. So they're definitely going to have to stop LSU on the ground as well. And going to that LSU defense as well, they have allowed 242 rushing yards in that Texas A&M game. So hopefully Alabama can, take advantage of that. If you watched that game, you saw the read option game was really, really working for Texas A&M in that. So maybe that's something that Alabama can really utilize. We have talked about the fact that me personally, I've wanted Alabama's running backs to get the ball a little bit more, maybe take out some of the read option game for Jalen Milroe. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't run the ball with Jalen Milroe, especially in the red zone. But I think, you got to get some of these running backs going more consistently if you are Alabama. LSU right now ranked 47th in overall rushing defense, allowing 130 yards per game. So I do think it is a, solid game plan, I think, for Alabama to go in that game and try to win the trenches, try to win the battle along the line of scrimmage, and hopefully you can get some solid rushing yards on LSU. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We are just 282 subscribers away from that 21,000 subscriber mark. We do free news, rumors all week long, 5, 6, 7 videos sometimes per week. We will also be live for that Alabama versus LSU game. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Do not miss out. Make sure you are subscribed right now.